In New York, Michael's family decided to take a one-week vacation and rented a beautiful house next to a forest in Long Island. As the family settled in, Amanda, the mother, went out to buy groceries and noticed Danny loading his truck with an unusually large number of supplies, which left her puzzled. Later, the family went to the beach, where Rosanna noticed a massive oil tanker sailing in the distance, heading straight toward them. She assumed it would stop, but as it kept approaching slowly, she told her father, "It looks like it's not stopping." Her mother glanced at the ocean and felt a wave of panic. The father also believed the ship would stop, but it continued getting closer. They ran quickly, and fortunately, the ship did stop on the sand, only knocking over a few umbrellas. The family returned home to find that the Wi-Fi was down, and their phones and TV had lost service. Amanda and Clay were also surprised to see a group of deer in the backyard. At first, they took it as a good omen, but that evening, Amanda heard a noise outside, followed by violent knocking on the door. Clay prepared to confront a possible intruder, but they were even more shocked when they saw who was at the door, a man claiming to be the owner of the house, accompanied by his daughter, Marina. It turned out that he was the same man Amanda had communicated with via email about renting the house. He apologized for showing up unannounced, explaining that with all phones and electricity down, he had stayed in the city with his daughter Marina while she played in a symphony. They had to climb up to the 14th floor, which was difficult for him due to his weak knee. Amanda disliked their arrival and didn't trust them. Ricky tried to ease her concerns by offering a 50% discount on the rent in exchange for letting him sleep in the basement. He even offered her a $1,000 compensation. To prove his identity, he opened the liquor cabinet, where he kept the house key rather than a firearm, which no one had noticed. Still, Amanda remained cautious. Possessing the key didn't necessarily mean he was the owner. He could just be a caretaker. Clay urged Amanda to give Ricky and Marina a chance. Ricky poured himself a drink from the cabinet and shared the story of the house, revealing that Danny was the contractor. He justified their presence by mentioning that his wife was away traveling. However, Amanda's suspicion grew stronger when she asked for proof of identity, and he admitted that he had left his wallet at the theater amid all the chaos. This contradicted his earlier claim that he hadn't expected the power outage. Suddenly, Marina's television blared with an emergency alert, a national emergency. Amanda had only one option to let them stay. As Ricky and Marina settled in the basement, it became clear that Ricky knew about strange occurrences after receiving warnings from his friends in intelligence. The next morning, Amanda found 4 emergency messages on her phone, 2 about the power outage, 1 about the possible involvement of hackers in a cyber attack on the US, and another containing random symbols. She woke Clay up and showed him the messages, but before he could read them, they disappeared. Clay decided to drive into the city to look for news and supplies, but with the GPS malfunctioning, he lost his way. He stopped to search for cell service, unaware that his car radio briefly turned on. The broadcaster revealed that the cyber attack had caused a severe environmental disaster in the south, which disrupted animal migration patterns, explaining the deer in the Michaels' backyard. Clay continued driving, lost without a phone or GPS. Suddenly, a woman waved her arm on the side of the road. He hesitated but stopped the car, only to realize she spoke Spanish, making communication impossible. Her distress unnerved him, so he ignored her calls and drove away. As he glanced at the sky, he saw a plane releasing red smoke. Alarmed, he stepped on the gas to escape, but the smoke wasn't what he feared. It scattered into the air, revealing red leaflets drifting everywhere. At the same time, Ricky drives to visit the neighbors, carrying his gun. His anxiety doubles due to the lack of news about his wife, whose flight home has been delayed. Unfortunately, he has received no messages. The neighbor's house appears empty, and strangely, random objects are scattered across the yard. The door is open. Ricky steps inside, finding complete chaos. He attempts to use the neighbor's satellite phone, but it isn't working either. That means all United States satellites are down. As he prepares to leave, he notices scattered objects near the beach. Following them, he discovers an expensive watch on the sand. When he tries to pick it up, he stumbles over a severed arm and falls, only to find the corpse of a pilot. His eyes scan the area until he spots a crashed airplane on the shore. Just then, he hears another aircraft approaching. He sprints back to the house and hides before it crashes as well. At home, Rosanna is frustrated about missing the final episode of Friends. When she steps outside, she is stunned by the massive number of deer in the yard. She convinces her brother, Archie, to go into the forest, where they find an old cabin. Inside, Archie tells Rosanna that someone must be living there and could be watching her sleep through the window. Terrified, she accidentally bumps her head before realizing Archie was joking. On their way back, a bug stings Archie, and Rosanna notices more deer and birds flying away. When Ricky returns, he confesses to Amanda that he suspected something unnatural was happening after noticing the city's strange unrest. As he explains what he saw on the beach, their conversation is cut short by distant explosions, followed by a piercing screech that painfully assaults their ears and shatters the windows. Amanda immediately rushes into the forest to find her children, but the noise becomes unbearable, forcing her to collapse to her knees in pain. Fortunately, the sound stops quickly and everyone returns home safely. Amanda recalls seeing Danny stockpile a massive amount of supplies, leading her to suspect that he, too, knew something was coming. At that moment, Clay arrives and shows them a leaflet written in Persian. Archie recognizes it from war video games and explains that it says "Death to America." Panic grips Amanda and Clay, and they decide to drive to a nearby house in New Jersey, ignoring Ricky's warnings. As they drive, sirens wail behind them. They soon find the road blocked by a cluster of white cars. Amanda rushes out to investigate and is shocked to find no people at all. Every car is a brand new, self-driving electric model of the same make. Suddenly, another car speeds toward them from behind. Amanda sprints back to her family and moves their vehicle just seconds before the incoming car crashes into the others. The family flees through an increasingly chaotic swarm of automated cars and sees the disorder spreading into the city below. With no other choice, they return home, and Ricky agrees they should stay. Later, Marina brings out cigarettes and invites Clay to talk. He confesses his guilt about leaving the distressed Spanish-speaking woman on the road. The sound of rushing water interrupts their isolation. They discover the swimming pool is now full of pink flamingos. Inside, Ricky admits that he didn't come to the house randomly. He reveals that his friend at the Pentagon warned him that a sinister organization was seizing control of the world. His friend also hinted that he would soon disappear, confirming Ricky's suspicions that something catastrophic was imminent. Tired of grim discussions, Ricky invites Amanda to the music room. He fears that his wife may be dead. Then the horrible screeching sound returns, plunging the house into darkness and sending the terrified flamingos flying away. Now reliant on candlelight, both families huddle together in a single bed for safety. In the morning, Rosanna disappears, and they fear she may have taken one of the bikes. Archie wakes up with a fever, vomits blood, and is horrified to discover his teeth falling out. He blames the insect sting. Ricky volunteers to take him along with Clay to search for a doctor named Danny, while Amanda and Marina go into the forest to look for Rosanna. After failing to find her, Amanda and Marina stop at the cabin, and the conversation turns into an exchange of insults. They dislike each other, but their shared fears lead to a small understanding. Strange noises outside heighten their fear. Amanda steps out and finds bike tracks, but a nearby sound freezes her in place. Marina is surrounded by deer. Without hesitation, Amanda rushes forward, screaming at the animals. Marina follows her lead. The deer scatter, and the two women embrace in relief. At the same time, Ricky and Clay arrive at Danny's house, only to be met with the barrel of his gun. Danny reveals that a similar noise was heard in Cuba, and that nuclear radiation could be causing Archie's illness. He also learned that Russians were fleeing America, suggesting that the country was at war. But Danny doesn't care if Ricky is an old friend or if Clay is willing to pay for medicine. His priority is his own family, so he refuses to help them. If they want assistance, he suggests going to the neighbors, who are supposed to have a nuclear bunker. Ricky refuses to leave without the medicine and draws his gun, leading to a tense standoff. As they aim at each other, Clay steps between them, admitting that he is a useless man but pleading for the medicine. He delivers a speech about how he and Danny have one thing in common: they only want to protect their families. Danny finally agrees and sells them the medicine. As Archie receives treatment, Danny shares additional information the attack was carried out by the Koreans. Clay counters by showing the Persian leaflet, insisting that the Iranians were responsible. But Danny knows more. Before the phones went down, a friend in San Diego, an Iraq war veteran, told him that drones had dropped leaflets there too, but in an East Asian language, either Korean or Chinese. If it had been Persian, his friend would have recognized it. Danny's theory is that since the United States has so many enemies, they must have formed an alliance to destroy the country. Back in the car, Ricky admits that Danny's information confirms a rumor he had heard before a three-step plan to collapse the United States from within. Step 1, isolate citizens by disabling all communication and transportation. Step 2, plunge the country into simultaneous chaos. Just like with Danny, people will turn on each other to survive, losing trust in the media, which is flooded with misinformation and propaganda. Step 3, the final stage happens naturally. Citizens will either plan a coup or start a civil war, leading to the country's complete downfall. Clay and Ricky agree to stick together and move their families to the neighbor's nuclear bunker. Meanwhile, Amanda and Marina continue searching for Rosanna, only to freeze in place as they see the Manhattan skyline ablaze, explosions erupting and gunfire echoing across the city. At the same time, it turns out that Rosanna has been in the neighbor's nuclear bunker the entire time. She broke into the house and indulged in a massive stockpile of food, but just as she's about to leave, she notices a light coming from the basement. She follows it and discovers a fully equipped nuclear shelter with everything one might need: food, a gym, and even a greenhouse. An emergency alert instructs anyone inside to stay in the bunker due to an attack on the White House and major cities, warning of rising radiation levels near densely populated areas. Rosanna then finds a massive collection of CDs, including Friends. She picks them up, finally able to watch the series finale. Rosanna becomes the sole survivor of the city after its complete destruction.
Possible interpretations of the film. The film can be interpreted in several ways, including as a warning about technology, and how its disruption can lead to chaos and fear. The film depicts how fear of the unknown can drive us to make poor decisions, and how this can lead to the breakdown of society. The film emphasizes the importance of genuine communication between people, and how it can help us overcome crises. The film offers a critique of modern society, which suffers from division and polarization, and how this can lead to the disintegration of society in the event of any crisis. The film received mixed reviews from critics, with some praising the actors' performances and directing, while others criticized the ambiguous ending. In conclusion, it is a thought-provoking film that invites us to reflect on our relationship with technology and how we can be better prepared to face crises. And in the end, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all the new updates.